Welcome back, guys. I hope you're ready for part 2. Today we're going to be talking about manjis and increasing, slash decreasing radius turns. These are 2 very important techniques, I guess technically 3. Increasing and decreasing your handle, a little different, but kind of the same. These are very important to learn because once you learn a manji, you can link a whole course, and then obviously increasing, decreasing radius. It's once again, you're taking out tools from your toolbox and correcting your drift, but you're doing it in a way where you're adding angle and wheel speed in a controllable way. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to stick with the E30 drift car here, just because that's what we started before. I think it's a good tool, and also the drift track. We're going to go ahead and go with that, and let's get started. Alright, so we're in the car. Let me get my view right here. That's kind of good. Very particular about that. Alright, we're in the car here. We're going to go ahead and, for this, pretty much all we got to do, put it on street tires. No gonna mess with the pressure or anything. I think it's pretty good as is. Let's proceed here to the straightaway. Flip around here. We're gonna take the inside loop. We don't have to, but end goal, we want to end up right about here-ish. However you want to get there. I'm just gonna use the shadow, because why the heck not? Alright, so manji, let's talk about it real quick before we do a quick demonstration. So a manji is pretty much just drifting on a straightaway to help make the rest of your drift flow. So tight layout like this, we've got all kinds of cool like turns and things to work ourselves into. But what if you don't have that? You want to do a manji, and that will kind of help you keep the tires spinning. You don't have to reinitiate your drift. If you're doing like drift mode on this, you get a lot more points. A lot of people will tell you don't manji the straights. I think in a real life event, that kind of depends on what the crowd is doing, because manjiing really slows down the course quite a bit. So like if you got someone doing really wide manjis in front of you, you're gonna have to really watch what they're doing, because they're also pretty easy to mess up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into one. Alright, so we're gonna start off in second gear here, and we're just gonna try to manji this straight. And I picked this turn in this straight because it already is kind of a manji, but it's more for third gear. So we're going to try it out with second gear. So see, I'm kind of just finding pivot points. Ooh, way too much angle. And working off of that. So let's run that back, because I didn't really explain it too well, and I also didn't give a great demonstration. So you are basically drifting through a straightaway here, but there's nothing to no turn to drift into, so you're kind of making up turns along the way, and you can work with one that helps. Turns are good because it helps keep you in drift just by adjusting your throttle and adjusting your steering input. But if you're going straight, you can't really hold that, so you have to change directions. So best way to do that, you're pulsing the throttle, you're working in and out of it. As you're adding more steering angle, you want to kind of come out of the throttle, right? Because you're going to have that opposite reaction. So the smoother you are off throttle, the easier it is to transition the wheel. You just want to make sure not to over rotate the wheel, because it's really easy to do that too. That was kind of a better demonstration. I don't know if you can if you want to go back and slow it down and watch my hand and foot movements there. I think you would see that it was a kind of like a pendulum, where when I would add more wheel, I would take the foot away. That's kind of like a good thing to work on anyways while drifting, because then you really have better control over it. You don't want to be real sharp off the throttle unless you're going for that technique, which, there definitely is a place for it, but you want to make sure that you're doing it when you want to do it and you have some control over that. So I feel like that was a couple of good examples. That's kind of what you want to end up with, right? So how I would recommend practicing, just like pick a good patch of straightaway and just like wag the car, right? And just see how many you can hold, right? So like make it like a little trial for yourself, like a little competition, like, oh, I'm gonna try to, you know, Manji like 4 or 5 times into this turn, and then Manji this straightaway all the way around to this other turn here, you know, like something like that to make it fun. It's not as easy as it looks, you know. I'm talking through this, but yeah, I mean, make it a challenge, and then you'll find before no time you'll have that skill mastered. So increasing, decreasing radius turns. You're gonna find these when you're drifting different places, and I like to use this tight little course through here to kind of work on those, because it's a very versatile line where you can go many different ways, but this is like a fun flow that I've found because it's got some intersecting elements, and it's just kind of fun to work the car through. So here we are, we're coming in on the first turn, and alright, big drift. So it starts off as a big turn, but it tightens, right? So what do? You kind of drag the brake, left foot brake, and you're going to need to kind of master that skill, because it's going to help a lot with decreasing radius. So let's do it one more time. So initiate, dragging that brake. We're not pushing hard on it, but it keeps the car rotating, but can bring the front closer to the apex of the turn. Which, I mean, it's not grip driving, so you're not necessarily like trying to touch the apex, but it's very helpful to think of those lines and maybe try to follow them if possible, so that you know that you have at least a good line through the turn. You don't want to be like, you know, going way too deep in the turn and trying to have good angle through it doing that. Right? So here, we'll do this one more time. Initiate. See, I have good power, and then I let off the power as I'm left foot braking and modulating the throttle with both of those. Alright, so we've done our decreasing radius turn here. So we're going to walk into increasing radius now. So let's make our way through here. Actually didn't use any left foot brake there. You can use throttle modulation. It wasn't like the best line either, but you know, we're just working on fundamentals and technique right now, and then we can kind of clean it up and go for lines and proximity after that. So this is increasing radius. So work your way through the box, kind of pedaling it, but as you go further out, you're going to open up and add more throttle. Right? So I really like that turn a lot. It's really cool how dynamic the line is. So let me cut through here. Let's go through this turn again. This one's a little bit of an increase to a decrease. I don't know. It's actually more of like a U. But here we go. Here's our increasing radius. So you're kind of just pedaling through, opening up your steering when needed. So when you open it up and you add wheel speed at the same time, it allows you to kind of throw more angle at speed. So be aware of that, because you're gonna need to catch the wheel, and it's not gonna just like flow. Once you have the muscle memory for it, you can definitely flow it kind of through your hands a bit more predictably. But see, I mean, I just did it right there. You don't want to just let go of the wheel. It's not gonna it's not as easy as some people make it look. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of control that still goes into it. So yeah, there's our increasing, decreasing radius and Manji lesson. I hope that was helpful. Once again, try to find a line where you can work these things through. So it was a little bit of a Manji, kind of like just a really huge initiation. We'll work it down to the course we just did. Well, I'll try to. And you can use a little bit of left foot brake to kind of stabilize the Manji. This is probably the more difficult one to Manji because it's so wide open. And like I said, try to stay in second. It's definitely a third gear straight, but if you can master it in second, then you know, third is just going to be a little bit more to handle, but you'll have the technique already down. So yeah, work your way through here, and let's do our course that we kind of made up here. Should I take it back? This is a good decreasing turn. So I left foot brake first, and if you need a little bit more angle, or you just want to initiate the slide a little bit more, check that e-brake. Don't pull on it and hold it. I mean, you can if you have a lot of speed, but I found if you just kind of give it a couple good, that's really all you need. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful. Got a decent response to the first video. So if you just found this one, there is a part 1 out there. I recommend go find that. And if you got some friends looking to drift, show them as well, because the more the merrier. We're going to start throwing up a server here sometime soon, and we'd love to see some of the skills that you guys learned out there. But check back next Wednesday. We'll have part 3 coming out. So subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell. You'll know when myself or any of my partners release videos on the channel. And until then, we will see you next time. Peace.